Good morning again, all you fine young ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I'm going to go back to some of our Sunday morning activity uh, brochure things that we've been using before all this COVID stuff started. Remember, they look like this. They look like this. This is the one I'm going to use this morning, and I'm going to try to have these out uh, Sunday morning in the lobby somewhere. And I might have to get a week ahead so I can give the one out to you. That anyway, try to look for those and pick them up. And then they have the activities, those fun activities that we did together with the true and falses and the all the games and stuff like that on there. That was always a lot of fun. So look for those somewhere, and look for this and one in particular today, Sunday. And anyway, I'll try to get a week ahead so that you can have them ahead of time. But that's what I'm going to try to do for a while, is go back to some of those things. Hey, as we live our life, there's laws that we have, and we've talked about some of these. And some of the laws we discover, and some of them they've been there all along. But we don't make them. Human people, we don't make the laws. We just kind of discover them. Example we always use is the gravity. Remember the law of gravity. You're not gonna. We didn't invent that law, but it does exist, and we have to live by it. But it's a law. It never changes. And we depend on that. We depend on that every day. So all these laws, that's just what they are. They're laws that are not violated. The one in the Bible talks about is the law of sowing and reaping. If you plant corn, guess what you're gonna get? You're gonna get corn, and you're not gonna get it tomorrow. The law of reaping and sowing and reaping, says you're going to get what you plant in time, and you're going to get more than what you plant. So whether that's good things you're planting or bad things you're planting, that law says you're going to reap those things that you sow. Hey, how about the law of sin and death that Adam and Eve created there in the garden? God says, hey, have a good time out here. Just don't eat that fruit right there on that tree. And they did. And so all of a sudden now they were going to die. It was supposed spiritually and physically if they didn't follow those instructions. So that was created at that time, a law of sin and death. If you sin, you're going to die. That's all there is to it. Now, when Christ came, he did away with that law and took us out of that law, so we're not bound by that law now if we're Christians. But the law still exists. I had a good friend that was talking about some of their friends that were driving down the interstate, and maybe they were going too fast, but all of a sudden they came into a storm, and before he could slow down, the car hydroplaned. And that's where you have enough water on the surface that the tires are not on the asphalt; they're just spinning in the water, and you lose control. You can't steer it. Brakes are not going to work for a while until you slow down, and they ran off the road, and it was a bad wreck. So there's that law of hydroplaning that is very real, and you can't do anything about it. Car manufacturers can't go, hey, guess what? Buy this car, and we're going to do away with that law of hydroplaning, which these tires are going to be, and they can improve it and make it, more acceptable on a vehicle and stuff, but they can't do anything about the law itself. So there's another couple of laws I want to talk about this morning real quick, if I can, and that's the first couple of laws of thermodynamics. What in the world is thermodynamics? Well, thermo has to do with heat, and dynamis, has to do with force or energy. Okay, so these things together. The first law of thermodynamics says this: if you can be in a closed situation, I'm going to use firewood for example. If I could get a box and put everything in this box and put that wood in there and put some energy to it and make it burn, when I get through with it burning up, I've not changed anything except the form of the wood and the form of the energy that was in it. And you see it all the time. Have to clean out that ash box. You got to clean out that fireplace where all that stuff is accumulated. Then your folks have to clean out the chimney where the soot has accumulated. And then you see all the light from the fire, and you see the warmth. And that's usually what we do with the firewood. We burn it for warmth. But the first law of thermodynamics says you can't lose anything. It's just rearranged. The stuff's all still there, it's just rearranged. The light, it's still there, but it's dissipated out, and you don't notice it. The heat, same thing. Smoke, same thing. Still there, it's just been dissipated out, and you just can't see it as much. So, first law of thermodynamics says you can't create energy. You can't create energy or mass, and you can't destroy it. It's all still there. It's just in a different form. Look at an ice cube. Take an ice cube out, set it down. What happens to it? It changes forms, but it's all still there. So in a little box, if we could heat that up and make it all steam, all that water is still there in our box. It's all there. We hadn't destroyed anything, but it makes it a situation where it's all there. It's just in different forms. Okay, so that's the first law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics is pretty cool. It talks about, basically, it just says everything's wearing out. Every time we go through, like our firewood, you burn that fire and it gives off energy, it gives off heat, it gives off light, and all the other things we talked about. But the thing is, on the second law of thermodynamics, it says that when you do that, the things that are given off, the things that are released, are not as useful as they were to begin with. So if I wanted to go have a fire tonight, and I had one last night, I can't go back and recapture any of that heat unless I've figured out a way to store it, but that's another deal. But in a natural situation, all those things are gone, and there is use for the ash, there is use for the light, there is use, but it's not as useful as it was when it was together in one thing. So the second law of thermodynamics says that things don't get naturally, they don't get better. They always get worse. If I had a box of computer parts, I'm going to put them in this box and shake them up a little bit, put them out there in my shop, and in 15, 20 years, I'm going to check it and see if it's a computer. That's not going to work. Well, maybe I need to put some energy to it. Maybe I better put it out in the sunlight, let it get some energy from the sun. Well, when you put it out there, you know what happens. The ultraviolet light takes and tears things up and cooks on it and everything. It goes to pot. It's not worth anything. And so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to zap it with some electricity. Wow, blow it up, whatever. Well, that's not going to work either. Anyway, so the second law of thermodynamics is that things are progressively, when things change in their forms, the what they change into is not as useful as what it was to start with. Okay, now those are simply stated because that's how I have to do it. Simply stated, and this stuff, this confusion that this second law of thermodynamics creates is called entropy. Big deal. It's a big word. Not big. It's just high for me. Anyway, this entropy is the amount of chaos that it creates, and so every time there's a change in matters, if you change them, then there's some entropy involved. Now, if we look at that ice cube, I say, okay, look at that. It's going to melt right there on the kitchen table. Melts right down. Well, it's not going to come together and freeze by itself. That's not going to happen. Well, you say, well, I can stick it in the refrigerator and freeze it. Just put it in the freezer and freeze it. Well, yeah, we could do that. But what we don't realize is in our box, if we expand the box out to include the power plants that are making the electricity to make our refrigerators work and our freezers work to do, then every time there's a reaction like that, we come up with less efficiency, is all I'm saying. And so in those two laws itself, there's a problem with creation, there's a problem with evolution, because these two laws of thermodynamics that we have proven and we've witnessed, you can't have a Big Bang. You can't have it. Both of these laws that people say, well, you can't prove the Big Bang's wrong because you weren't there to see it, and we can't reinvent it because of how big it was, so you can't prove it one way or another. Well, that's true, and that's what I like to say. And also people say, well, you can't prove God did it because you weren't there and we can't recreate it. Well, that's true too, but the laws that were involved with the creation, these two laws of thermodynamics, the first and second laws of thermodynamics, says that you can't take something and blow it up and come out with something better. You can't put something out and in time have something come of it that's better. My dad was always a real good guy about it. He wouldn't always tell me the answer to my questions right away. He let me stew about it for a while. And I remember him saying, I believe in the Big Bang. And I'm just floored. What, Dad? What? Have to explain that one to me. He said, no, I believe in the Big Bang. Well, he wouldn't answer me, wouldn't explain it for a while. But every time we talk about it, yeah, he said, I believe in the Big Bang. And so finally, I don't know, one time I said, hey, look, you're gonna have to explain this to me, because everybody knows that there wasn't a Big Bang. I mean, the Bible doesn't teach that. And he said, he said, when God said, let there be, he said, you don't think he was quiet, do you? So that's the kind of Big Bang that God, that my dad believed in. And I think that's pretty good deal. Anyway, I want to bring those things to your attention this morning. These two laws that we have discovered and have proven out to be true and is accepted worldwide by scientists all over the place. But these two laws, they can't coexist with any kind of an evolution or the Big Bang theory or things like that. So anyway, that's just there for you. And I'll try to get this little pamphlet thing out so you guys can pick it up. And I'll see you sometime today, I hope, either before or after you get to watch this video. And I'll try to keep these coming, even in spite of not having our Bible class. But I'll try to get those done for you. But we'll look at some of the things that we kind of skipped over when I didn't have access to these other deals. So hey, anyway, take care of yourself, and I hope to see you today, which is Sunday, and I hope to see you. And if you get there and looking around, make sure you say hi to me and all that kind of stuff, so I can get to see you and see how you're doing and talk to you for a little bit. Hey, take care of yourselves, and you know what I'm going to say. Besides tapping on the table, don't start doing that. Hey, don't be a pain in the neck. Help your parents take care of things. Talk to you later. See you later. Bye-bye.